Someone's in the kitchen with Bonnie. Yum.
Hi there, welcome to the kitchen. You are with Someone's in the Kitchen with Bonnie. I'm Bonnie McKibben and I'm happy to be with you today. So March, great time, St. Patty's Day, lots of wonderful food celebrations go on during this month. And one of the things that I like to do when the celebration is over is sit down with some corned beef and some spicy mustard. Now, some of the grainy, spicy mustards are kind of expensive, so I'd like to make my own. And I'm going to show you today just how simple it is to do that. Here we go. First, we start with some mustard seeds. Now, we're going to use a 1/4 cup of brown mustard seeds. And you can get these at any supply for any of the spice houses. I use myspicesage.com and I buy quantities of things. The cool thing about that place is, again, it's myspicesage.com, is that when you order things like you can get a 1/4 pound of this or 1/2 pound of that, or just a few ounces of something, they usually will allow you to order 1 or 2 samples of maybe some spices you've never used before. So it's a real good way to increase your repertoire of things that you use. Alrighty, so 1/4 cup of brown, 1/2 cup of yellow. Now I put it in this container that already had 2 tablespoons of honey because it's kind of hard to pour that while we're filming here. This is 4 ounces of lager. Any kind of nice lager will do. 4 ounces of apple cider vinegar. That's lovely. A little bit of brown sugar. That's 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of honey, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And that goes in there just like that. You will stir this up. Now you can wait and add the honey, salt, and lager later, right before you grind it up. But I like to do it all at once. It really lets the flavors come together and meld. It's kind of goopy right now, but what we do is we put a lid on it very gently, or you can put plastic wrap on it, put it up on a shelf and let it sit overnight. Then the next day is when the magic happens. It goes either in a Cuisinart or a blender. Truthfully, a blender works better, like a Vitamix blender, and it turns into this beautiful, beautiful mustard that's so easy to spread, and it stays for quite a while. You can save it for quite a few weeks in the refrigerator. And I wish you could smell this. It just smells so good. And you can use this for sandwiches, for brats, for corned beef and cabbage. It's just lovely. It'll keep right in the refrigerator, and it's quick, very, very quick and easy to do. So that's this. That was just a little tiny one today. Now the next thing we're going to do is colcannon, and colcannon means white cabbage. And what it is russet potatoes, usually cabbage. I'm going to use kale today because I think kale is a little bit more nutritious, and as a senior citizen, I'm always concerned about that. I put in butter and cream, and it's quite delicious. So we're going to head over to the stove. Now I've already cooked off the potatoes, so those are done. So what we'll do now is we're going to cook the green ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and get this fired up. There's 1/2 cup of butter. And when you cook the potatoes, you need to make sure to salt the water. The potatoes really absorb a lot of the salt. So there are the potatoes there. Now you can use any green leafy vegetable. It can be cabbage, it can be chard. I like to use kale when I cook for the senior citizens, again, because it just has that extra little bit of nutritious value to it. And it's beautiful. And sometimes the cabbage just sort of blands out in the color department, and then there's not much to it. Now for this, you can use milk or cream. I tend to go for the full fat effect. So I'll be using cream in these potatoes today. All right, we're almost ready to add our greens in. So that's 4 potatoes in that big pot there. And then this is going to be a little bit more than, it's supposed to be 3 cups, but I like to use a little bit more. So 3 cups of kale that's been washed and trimmed away from the center rib. And we just cook it down so it's nice and wilty. And it blends in really well with the potatoes. And then there's this extra butter in here too, so that's lovely. I wish you could smell this. We're getting there. Okay, I'm going to add some green onions. Again, I'm tending to go a little heavy on the green. Cook this for a couple minutes till they're a little bit wilty. Now this dish is not just for March. This is good any time of year. And who doesn't love potatoes? Okay, we're getting close. Okay, that's looking nice. Now we're going to take our masher, give these potatoes a once over lightly, and we're going to add them to the skillet. I suppose you could use instant mashed potatoes with this, but it wouldn't have the same texture. So these are just roughly mashed. They're not creamy mashed. Okay. Right in here. Now I would normally have cooked the greens in the pot, but as these had to be done so much in advance, it just is easier to do it in the skillet. Okay, start getting this stirred in. And then we'll add our heavy cream. Now, I will oftentimes prepare this the day before if I'm serving it to a large group, put it in a large chafing dish and cover it with foil to reheat it, and it reheats very nicely. And that is called cannon. Again, another quick and easy dish. I'm just going to give it a little taste to make sure it doesn't need any more salt. Excellent. And that's that. Next up is Irish soda bread. Oh, that's so good. All righty. So, Irish soda bread is a very lovely bread that is, it's a little bit more of a peasant bread. It's not a soft dough bread. It's more of a hearty bread. And it's so delicious. Okay, we're going to start off with 4 cups of flour. Now, I'm sure you've heard this said before, but I'm going to say it again. When we scoop flour right out of the bin, it's too compacted and it puts too much flour in our product. So we should always load it up this way, gently, and then smooth off the top so that, there we go. So it's a nice even measure. It probably doesn't matter if it's just 1 cup of flour, but if it's more than 1 cup of flour, you're going to get a lot of extra. There's 2. Starting off with 4 cups of flour. Oven should be preheated to 375. All righty, 4 cups of flour. And we have 4 tablespoons of sugar, a teaspoon of soda, a tablespoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. Get that mixed up a little bit. Then we will add butter. This is hopefully soft enough that it'll stir easy, but it's been awfully chilly in the kitchen this morning, so oops, it happens. Yeah, it's gonna doesn't want to smush up very well. Okay, so we will smush this in a little bit, and then we will add our liquid, which is buttermilk and egg. Okay. Half a cup of buttermilk and a half a cup, 1 cup of buttermilk, I beg your pardon. And 1 egg. Alrighty. One of the things I like about this bread is that it's not fussy to make. If it was fussy to make, we would roll it out, we would knead it and work the butter until it was completely softened in and everything was great, and bring it into a shaggy dough and then roll it out and knead it. But we don't need to do that with this type of bread because it is a peasant bread and it is a little bit more firm to the tooth rather. So and usually when I make it, I make 5 or 10 loaves at a time for feeding lots of people. So I will take it over to the Cuisinart and let it come together that way. So we're going to take a wee break and I'll be right back. Okay, so I put all the ingredients in here and I whirred this up for about 30 seconds and it came together really nicely. But now I'm going to add raisins. This is a little bit more than a half a cup of raisins. You can add as many as you like. I have a friend that likes when I put in a whole cup. That's a little bit much for me. So now we'll get this incorporated a little bit. Get it started anyway. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's going to mostly need to be done with kneading. And we'll go do that right now. Oof. Here we go. Back to the workbench. Little sachet of flour. Now, this bread can be either cooked on a sheet tray with a bit of parchment, which is the way I do it, or it could be done in a skillet, what are they called? Those big black skillets. My brain's not functioning well. Or a pie pan, anything that works like that, nice round shape. But again, it's peasant bread. Cast iron skillet, that's what I was trying to come up with. So. Now, one thing I will tell you is when the raisins are on the outside and the bread cooks, because it takes about 45, 50 minutes for it to cook, the raisins that are on the outside get really plump and sometimes they fall off and burn. It still smells good, but okay. There we go, get nice and round. Okay. It's pretty simple. Now I'm going to get my pan here. Which one away? Oh, here it is. My well-used pan, a bit of parchment. One right on the top. And my brush. My brush has gone missing. Oh, there it is. Half a cup of buttermilk, half a cup of butter, and I did not get the answer to the question that was asked of me, how to make your own buttermilk. I know buttermilk is quite sour and it's got quite a bit of extra fat in it. Tell you what, I'll look that up and we'll put it in the credits. So this is an awful lot for this one little loaf of bread. But what I do is every 10 minutes, I open the oven and pull this out and re-slather it. Gets a nice crust on it. Butter, love it. Okay, I'm gonna pop this in the oven and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Oops. Okay, looking good in there. One of the things that the Irish do with their bread, once they get it set on the cooking vessel, is they will take a razor blade or a super sharp knife and cut a cross in the top. And that's said to bring them good luck and to keep their home blessed, which is very cool. Soda bread actually originated with the American Indians, and they used pearl ash from burned wood, and that was their soda. And that was how soda bread actually started, was with the American Indians. Then the Irish took it and made it their own, and it's a staple in the Irish household today. And to answer the question asked previously about buttermilk, what can I do if I don't have buttermilk? A cup of milk and a tablespoon of an acid like a vinegar or lemon juice, and let it sit for a bit, and it'll coagulate a little bit and get that nice sour taste to it. So we're going to let this cook for 45 minutes roughly. I'll check it at 30, and again every 15 minutes I will brush it with the butter and buttermilk, and it'll get a nice bit of crust on it. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at the one that I made yesterday, and we're going to cut that open and see what it's like. This is what the bottom looks like. Nice hollow sound, lets me know it's cooked well. And again, the raisins are escaping. It is so beautiful. Nice crumb. Oh. Truly, you don't need to put anything on this, but you can put butter or anything that you normally would put on bread. It's quite delicious. Now, I wouldn't use this for a sandwich, but certainly as an accompaniment to any type of meal. I would use it with the colcannon and the corned beef, and it's delicious. So good. So we have our grainy mustard and our colcannon and our Irish soda bread today for St. Paddy's Day. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you.